What is up, you sexy YouTube mother lovers? We are back for an AK-50 update. I personally didn't think we were ready for an AK-50 update, but I literally got so tired of the comments that we're doing one. So, yeah, the internet has successfully bullied me into doing a 50 update. Hope you're happy with yourselves. I cut myself at night. Anyhow, last time we did an AK-50 update, these were the parts that we were looking at. Showed you the front trunnion. Of course, this is the stamped revision that we were talking about. We've got our front trunnion here, 3-lug. We've got our bolt carrier here. But there was some things that weren't quite right on it, and some things that I just really wanted to change. I wanted, it's been so long that when we actually put this thing together, I just wanted to work right off the bat. And so I want to give it the best chance possible. So putting these over here, these are some of the new parts, and might I say, they are pretty fucking sexy. I'm gonna show you how these work together, and I'm gonna show you inside our little mock-up receiver here, but first, a word from our sponsor. That sponsor, of course, is Acre Gold. Now, if you've been following crypto, or, you know, GameStop, or literally just you turn on the fucking news, you've seen that the markets have been an absolute clusterfuck. Tesla is now buying in Bitcoin, Dogecoin to the moon. If you'd like to put your money into something a little bit more tangible, why not gold? Acre Gold is a gold subscription service. You give them money, they give you gold. Stonks. You'd like to check them out? I'll go ahead and leave the links in the description and in the pinned comment. We appreciate their support. Let's get back to the 50. So here is our revised front trunnion. There's a lot we changed on it, and I'm gonna try to hit on everything. For one, we changed the geometry a bit on top. There was really no reason to leave this shelf and cut away down here as much as we did on the back of the original one. It's still kind of a holdover from where we had that rear locking lug style stopper for when we had a press fit barrel extension, which is what the V1 had. The firing one actually had a press fit barrel extension, whereas this one's just machined into a solid front trunnion. Did away with that on this one. It can just be a flat shelf, a little bit of a chamfer here so that when the bolt carrier is traveling, it doesn't accidentally nick the top there and start premature wear or jam up the gun. Of course, this hole's for your gas piston. This hole down here is going to be cut back a little bit more, and we're going to thread it. So that's going to be your barrel hole. That's where our barrel is going to thread into the end of the front trunnion, and we can headspace it there against the bolt. Then we've got this starter of a pinhole here that we're going to drill through and pin it just like a regular AKM. Another thing is that we had chamfered the holes here. We had done countersinks on the rivet holes on the front trunnion. They didn't look deep enough. The thickness of the stamped sheet metal receiver that we're going to be using is just, it's dummy thick. So we made those chamfers a little bit more dramatic. I don't know if you can see that, but hopefully that gives us a little bit more meat that the receiver can actually be pressed down into and have a proper countersink swell neck rivet. As for the lower long rivets here, so these are the short rivets. These are actually done, again, just like an AK, where they're smashed on the inside here. We've got little recesses for where the back of the rivet can just smash and get out of the way of the barrel. Down below, for extra strength, we have long rivets, which go all the way through one side of the receiver, through the trunnion, out the other, and smashed against the side. On the initial one, we only had one, and we have the extra space up here. I figure might as well put it to use, and the front trunnion is really one of them. It's the most critical part of the gun, maybe aside from the bolt. So I figured if any part on this gun needs to stay put, it's this one. So we added another front one down here, added these little, I think it's kind of cool. I think it looks like an RPK, which is kind of neat. These little tabs down at the bottom to give it extra meat to grab onto, and still clearance for the front of the magazine to be inserted. We also had a very, very slight chamfer on the outside edge of where the bolt goes into the locking lugs here. Made that a lot more dramatic. I mean, this side isn't the side that it locks on anyway, it locks inside, so those chamfers really don't do anything to take away support, and it greatly decreases the chance that if the barrel's slightly rotated, there's dirt, whatever in the way, that it's going to jam up the gun. A lot of this stuff is being done to stop premature wear, really. This motherfucker's been a long time coming. I don't want it dying quickly. Next up, we have our bolt carrier, which I changed quite a bit of shit here on this one as well. As you can see here, got the cut for our new shark fin style, AKM style, the ejector. I think that's gonna be neat. And we have our cam groove, which I wanna show you this. This is all you machinists out there. Anybody who's ever touched a mill is gonna cream yourself. Look at that fit. Beautiful. We actually didn't have to hand fit it. I give up. So, we didn't have to hand fit this at all. It is just a beautiful fit. Thank God this wood table is really not going to be a problem for these 4140 steel billet parts. But you just fit it right in there. It follows, oh yeah, I should probably show you. It follows that little track there. A lot of inspiration from the way that the Strybog bolt actually kind of fits together. Figured it would work well for a prototype. We're going to be changing out potentially our cam groove quite a bit. It's better to just machine a new cam groove than it is to machine an entirely new bolt carrier. So fit that in, and it just silky smooth slide. No play at all. Wonderful. Just going to throw just a quick weld on that and call it a day. One thing I'm also doing on this one that I had mixed feelings about, but I think it's, I don't know, I'd like to at least give it a shot. We went from a dual spring system to just one. I really think we can get away with it. I really think if we dial in our gas, that's actually not gonna be a huge problem. But we're gonna find out. I was really worried by the space that was occupied by a dual recoil spring assembly, and I was also worried about just watching the way the springs behaved, potentially getting caught in each other and binding. I thought that might be a problem, so let me give it a shot with one, see if we can do it. And of course, still our rear trunnion. Rear trunnion, pretty important. It's the part that the recoil spring fits in, the part that stops the bolt. It's some also dummy thick countersinks on these long rivets here that go all the way through. This rear trunnion is another part that you really don't want going anywhere, because this is the last thing stopping the bolt carrier from continuing down into the shooter's shoulder, so pretty important. Got our booster spring back here. Like I said, I want it to bottom out right here on the rear trunnion, and then if it has a little bit too much oomph, like you're running it suppressed, or something that is like, some Hornady AMAX, some really hot loads, it'll have a little bit of give there, so it's not just beating the hell out of your rear trunnion. Again, probably gonna make it shoot a lot softer and stopping premature wear, making sure this gun can go for as long as possible. Last time I pointed this out, people were talking about how this thing can jump out of alignment or whatever, like it doesn't look super secure. Well, that's because it's not currently in our mock-up receiver, which is right here. I'll show you what that looks like. It actually fits in the same rails that the bolt carrier fits in. So it travels along with the bolt carrier at the very end of its throw. As you can see, it's very stable when it's actually in the track. But now for my favorite part. This is a 3D printed mock-up bolt. We're still waiting on this one to be machined. There was a bit of a mix-up with who we were having make this. So yeah, that wasn't great. But while we're waiting for that part to come in, I've got this 3D printed mock-up that will serve the job of what I'm trying to show you. I don't send the pin out because it's not retained. So now we have our cam groove, perfectly functional. All right, so here we have the moment of truth. Position this as if the bolt carrier is moving through the receiver, hits the front trunnion, bolt goes in, locks and rotates perfectly. That is pure sex. Beautiful. So yeah, shit takes time. Waiting for that bolt to come in. Currently don't have an ETA on that, but I'll try to figure that out soon. But as soon as we get that part in, I think we're pretty much good to go to start putting this son of a bitch together and attempting the riveting, which is going to be really interesting because these are some fucking thick rivets. We basically looked at the PKM, which is, the belt-fed light machine gun 7.62x54R version of the AK that Mikhail Kalashnikov designed, I think in the 60s. You know what a PKM is. Anyway, we looked at PKM rivets and thought like, okay, well let's take those and just fucking make them bigger. So I think that's how we ended up with these ones. We'll see how they work out. But that's gonna take significantly more force than crushing a standard AK rivet. We're not gonna be able to use fucking AK builder tools on this one. But I'm actually stoked for this part of the project. It's been a long time coming. We already have a barrel for it, and we already have a barrel that's threaded and ready to go. This one's gonna be a little shorter. This one's gonna be like, I think it's a 21 incher. So that's actually in my head the way that the AK-50 looks the best. Is like, not a full 28 inch barrel. You're not gonna try to reach out and touch somebody at 3,500 yards with it. But it's just a really, really neat looking gun, and I think it's gonna perform pretty well. But there's only one way to find out, so coming soon, TM. But for real, guys, I am genuinely appreciative that you guys are still so interested in this project after so long. Just try not to harass me on other videos that are unrelated to 50 stuff. I got a lot of stuff going on. I've got a lot of things that I think are cool, and just because I'm spending time with one thing doesn't mean I'm leaving out something else. A lot of this stuff we don't have 4 or 5 axis CNC machines and CNC engineers and whatnot, so we're just waiting for machine shops. If we're waiting for parts to come in, I can't just sit there at my desk and will the AK-50 into existence. Nothing I do is gonna help. So in the meantime, we work on other cool projects and film content for you guys, and attempt to run a business. This is pretty likely going to be the last video that I film in North Carolina before the Texas move. By the time you guys see this, I'm probably already in San Antonio. So, shit howdy. Depending on how the move is gone, I may or may not be live on twitch.tv/TheRealBrandonHerrera after this video goes live. With that, I appreciate your patience, I appreciate your support, and as always, I will see you sexy YouTube mother lovers in the next video in Texas. Thanks.
Fuel is my obsession to make the perfect weapon, like Rasputin's rise to the top.
Which is where we have the moment of truth. As if this bolt carrier were traveling through the receiver. Oh wait, hold on. Fuck, that's wrong. Wrong front trunnion. So with that, I appreciate your understanding. I appreciate your support. And as always... Oh, fuck.